I know that I don't understand. I know that I don't know. I take you by my hand, but I don't know where to go.
What it is. What's going on, everyone? We apologize. Just got to say that right off the bat. It's my fault. My computer just doesn't work.
It wasn't totally your fault, Jeran.
Well, what are you going to blame the?
Your software crashed. We can't blame that on you.
Yeah, more than crashed. I had to uninstall it, reinstall it. You know, nightmare. But with me,
you had to get a whole new computer.
I did. I had to go out to Best Buy and find the one that's on sale, but I found it, so we're all good.
Yep.
We're back. We're live, and I'm here. I'm Jeran, and with me is Mr. Stolman himself, Nathan. What it is? I stole it from you again.
Right now. I'm exporting the video right now. Hey, what it is, everybody? How's everybody doing? Oh, that's not me. There.
That's you.
I'm going to come up on screen right now. What's up, everybody? I don't know. Oh, yeah. My producer's here. So I'll introduce him. That's
Where is
Doshi. He's over here right now. So not too cold in the garage tonight. It was so nice at the protest. So nice. 72 degrees, chemtrails.
So tell us about where were you today? What did you do? Why did you do it? What did you see? And is Doshi going to fire me? That's what I'm worried about.
Sorry, I jumped in too fast. I was so excited. well, Jeran, the local college town. There's a college locally to this place in San Luis Obispo, California. It's called Cal Poly.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly well respected university. Actually, the town of San Luis Obispo. I think it's Oprah's favorite town or something, and that got it a lot of press. One of America's most livable towns. She lives around here somewhere. So anyway, I was there at the protest, and they're protesting Milo Yiannopoulos and his alt-right hate speech and Nazis in general. It was pretty interesting. I got clips of the footage. I got clips of the protest, and I put them up on YouTube as I was getting them live. Right now, I'm exporting the HD footage of that, and I can show it to you exclusively for the first time on this show, AltNews Tonight with Jeran and Nathan. Or can it be Nathan and Jeran? Does it make a?
It doesn't make a difference. It's either way.
What is it in the title right now? Does it say AltNews Tonight with Nathan and Jeran or no?
I leave our names out. Our names are unimportant.
Good.
So it's just AltNews Tonight and then the date.
Okay. Because I don't want to fight you for top billing.
I know.
My agent would be.
I'd probably beat you, and then I'd feel bad. So I don't want to feel bad.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Well, then I just fire my agent and hire yours.
I don't have an agent.
Oh, Doshi does that for me.
Well, thank Doshi for us. We're very happy that he's allowed you.
Sorry. All right.
So tell us about, or you're going to show us some interviews you did or some footage?
You think that's the exciting story? Yeah, we might as well open with it. Let's wasn't up to speed on the news. So yeah, I have a bunch of stuff from the protest. Boy, I mean, I can almost start at the beginning, but let me start with something. Juicy-ish. Oh, let me start with the march. Let me start with the protest march. That is going to be right. Oh, you know what? I have so many things here. Okay, hold on one sec. We're going to organize these by name.
Well, I can tell everybody, too, that in case anybody's wondering, my wife is fine because we did get our car totaled yesterday.
I should have said something. Did you tell your listeners that happened?
Well, we weren't able to do Raw last night, so because it happened right about maybe a half hour before the show was supposed to start, that she called me. So she was in an accident. It wasn't her fault, and she's fine, but the car is totaled, so we'll be getting a new car here, I guess, sometime soon. So, but everybody's fine, so we're all good. So it's been a little bit stressful, but we're here. We're going. So you ready?
Yeah, and Jeran and the person who hit them didn't have insurance, guys. So Jeran's Jeran, I can't. If something like that happened to me, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't know what to do. So that's a tough situation.
Well, it's
You're
one of those
handling it
situations where you
remarkably
want to
well.
have, like, that's what the world should be, is just handling it without the need for middlemen and cops and for, but maybe I'm going to find out the hard way why we do have middlemen and cops, if they
Well,
don't.
why we have insurance. There's a
Right.
reason for insurance, and we could talk about why health insurance doesn't work. Is because, anyway,
Yeah.
insurance you pay it monthly, so that it's basically a forced savings, is what it is.
Exactly.
You put $50 a month into a kitty, and then if something happens, you have some money left over. And car insurance pays for itself that way, but not health insurance. But anyway, I think I'm gonna have to play you one of the more interesting clips a different way than we would have wanted to. Let me do that real quick. Share screen. I'll share my entire. Did you hear that?
What was that noise?
Entire screen. Okay, I'll share that. Can you see? Oh no, I can't share that. Okay, so I'm going to share. Oh, shit, this is going to be okay. Then I'm going to share. The problem is that I'm having is that one of the videos is 90 degrees wrong. So I'm just going to get started with something. I think it's this one right here.
Okay.
Not this one. Am I sharing whole screen right now?
It's a little smaller than it was in.
Oh no,
before.
no, I'm sharing something different. I'm sharing something different. It's hard doing a live show, isn't it?
It's not easy.
People have no idea. Okay, here we go. Now you're seeing my whole screen, right?
And now I'm seeing a black screen. It's midnight. No, there you go. I see a chain link fence.
Okay, let's see what we got here. So,
This is where Milo is. Yeah, this is where Milo is. Yeah, I'm reporting on it. How are you doing? What's your interest in it? People with tickets going in. Yeah, those are people with tickets. And then the protesters are here, and then we have this. Lucky for us. This is what a police state looks like, everybody.
here I'll advance. I do a pretty good reporter move. I mean, like I said, I'm exhausted from this ordeal. You'll see, watch. You'll see I'm serious. I'm walking faster than they are right now.
Bunch of college chicks. Must be tough, rough life.
Yeah, look at these kids. I was laughing. I was like, nothing's going to happen. This is what democracy looks like. So beautiful out. It's like tough life.
How far is that from where you live?
This is where I started hauling ass. Somebody else was doing it too. I got the shot though. Look at that. There's that same guy.
Ah.
I'm gonna tell you about this guy later. That's the guy that gives me the stink eye. Look at these girls. This girl's the angriest, the fat chick. I'm gonna talk about why fat chicks are good at protesting. I don't know. Hold on, let me bring this up. No human being is illegal. I was wondering what that is. No human being is illegal. What does that mean?
I guess because they were banning Muslims.
Where's your comp ass? Assian? Proud daughter of two immigrants. Oh, sorry. I thought it was proud mother of two immigrants. I thought that would be funny because usually the parents come first. Sorry. Hold on. Sign. The circumstance. See, signs need to be a little less verbose. Look how long that one is. Anyway, sorry, I'm focusing. I'm doing too much John Madden, not enough Summerall.
I'm trying to fix your volume here.
So here's where they ended up. Okay, I'm just playing this because this is the extent of the whole damn thing. So they show up here for the photo shoot. I mean, this is pretty much the whole thing. Pretty boring. But they line up. Look, they all line up. This guy films everything. I got the shot, huh? I mean,
really
right?
good shot.
There. That's what's funny. It's like, oh, okay. Who brought the oranges? And then that's it. That's it. They don't know what to do.
And
so
I remember
what do you
this
think
guy
of that?
Milo making a few, random remarks that people weren't happy with. What else has he done that's caused all these kind of people to come out?
Oh, good question. Maybe I can skip ahead. This is, by the way, 30 seconds later.
They're just all.
That was it. It was.
Let's go to Starbucks.
I'm laughing. They're like, who's this creepy guy? There's this guy. He gives me the stink eye later. He's always around. He's wearing the dirty clothes.
It's over, huh? Okay.
Okay, so I'll tell you what he said. Okay, so I have a good interview. I have an interview with, this is where I kind of clown this lady a little bit. Hold on. I think this is it.
I can't wait.
Okay.
You're here to counter this protest, right? You believe?
I am part of the protest. I'm not counter the protest.
So you think hate speech is entertaining? What is wrong with you? Is that what it is? Okay, got it. For a second, I thought you were for free speech.
I am not for free speech.
Oh.
If you notice, this is for the people going to listen
Oh, I
to
see.
him. It's not him. I support his right to relate, but I just can't understand. I just can't conceive why.
What has he said? What has he said exactly? Because I don't know him that well. What does he say?
Go online and do some studying.
Okay. All right. I was just curious if you had some, since you're the one with the opinion on it. That's all.
I think everybody, here's something I truly believe. I think everybody out there is voting for Trump, especially needs to do their homework. All the fake news they believe. You can go online, you can read direct quotes.
Do you think people who voted for Trump didn't understand what they were doing? They weren't properly educated?
Well, so what is it? It's dropped down to 30% now approval. I can't understand those 30% that are still left approving of this job, but the 20% that have gone away, that shows some people have finally understood what he was saying and realized that, hey, they've been duped a bit.
Got it. Great. Thank you very much for the interview. I appreciate it.
After I was like, I really thought her sign said, hate speech. I think hate speech is entertaining. What are you thinking? Something like, oh, sorry, I'll stop sharing my thing. It was like, if you think hate speech is entertainment, what is wrong with you? Basically something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it said, what's wrong with you? Hate speech is entertaining speech. So I thought she was a counter protest. That's why I was like, oh, I want to interview you. And then halfway through the interview, I realized that she was for real.
You realized what you had.
And, where there were the results. So anyway, she was funny. I mean, I have a lot more. I have where I show the cops. This is pretty good right here.
How many cops were there?
There were a lot. There were snipers on the roof. There was all kinds of crap going on.
And you left before he did the speech or anything? You were out of there before he did the speech or anything?
Yeah, because everybody's outside. Well, the sun went down. First of all, let me see what I have here. Oh, here, watch. Here's the cops.
Think there's going to be any trouble today? Probably not, right? These chants bother you at all?
They're not talking to you, peon.
I appreciate it.
There's the guy with the sweater. I say, yeah, kids, watch. He gives me the stink eye. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
cops and Klan go hand in hand. They were like, oh, we don't want to say that anymore. There's the fat chick. I said fat chicks are good at protesting. You know why?
No,
They have a lot. They have a lot of free time.
Oh boy. Alrighty. I would transition to myself right now if my face wasn't so red.
You think that's one I can use in my act?
Yeah, in your comedy act.
I have other jokes about fat chicks too.
Include them all.
I don't know.
It's always a good way to get people on your side. Said include them all. I wouldn't hold anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I say BBW though.
What's that? BBW.
BBW.
Oh.
Big beautiful woman. You've never heard that expression before?
I have, like in a newspaper.
That's what a fat chick would say if she posted an ad on Craigslist or something. Instead of saying ads. She's fat.
Right. She's big and beautiful. Big
and beautiful woman. So that's why they're good at protesting. I have more. You want to see more, or what do you want to see? I mean, it's kind of fun. The guy says he punches. See, I want to play the thing where the guy said he punched Richard Spencer in the face. That's the money clip. But the problem with that money clip is that it's 90 degrees wrong on me. So it looks.
Everyone can turn sideways.
Yeah, they could. Let me see which one this is. Okay. Oh, okay.
Here, well, you can get that set up, and I will.
This isn't the good one. And I'll switch the screen. Just everybody, just relax. View. Here we go. View.
We're already an hour late. At this point, we can just let it burn down.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. View. Oh, here we go. Flip horizontal. Oh no, that's not what we wanted to do.
I'm not sure. I'm not positive.
Flip horizontal was not what I wanted to do. I want to rotate. Oh, here we go. Rotate. Let me see if I want to go left or right. I want to go left, I believe. Edit, rotate left, and then we're gonna share. Okay, great. I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
Boy, all right. Pressure. Okay, all right, great. You can see it. All right, here we go.
Because they don't actually speech that takes militarized force and thousands of dollars to make their hate speech possible.
Did you get a chance to talk to the people who wrote those? Do you know any of them?
I've encountered a few of them in classes. I've heard people talking about this event online. I personally make a policy to not associate myself with sexists and bigots and racists and people that help because I like, associating with quality human beings.
Are you a student here?
I'm a student at Cuesta. I'm around here a lot. I'm friends with many students.
Well, it's not a great scumbag. Any final thoughts?
So he's not even a student at this university. He points out.
He goes to Cuesta, cool. Which is a junior college nearby there.
Yeah, I think that's in Santa Maria, the shitty city between the two twin cities.
I punched Richard Spencer.
Hear this.
Any final thoughts about all this?
I punched Richard Spencer. What's up? I'm Spartacus.
Also,
I'm Spartacus. What does that mean? I punched Richard Spencer.
Mayor put up a video on your Instagram page.
Well, that's not why I wear a mask. I wear a mask because I like avoiding oppression on a daily basis. Standing up for human rights. If you notice also, they've got cops up on the roofs taking videos of us. All your tuition money is going towards SWAT cameras and snipers. So they're taking pictures of everyone here right now. And they know you guys are reporting on this. They know you'll probably be there. You guys are safe, but if they caught our faces for protesting, we don't have in the database. So we like protecting our personal privacy and freedom.
Wait a second. That's not how that worked.
Yeah, I saw some cops on the roof there.
See, there's a cop right there. You see him?
Uh-huh.
I'm up here on the roof.
Sniper.
Yeah, they had people on the roofs. And there were cops around. You can see cops back here through the gate.
Well, I don't think you're going to make it in trouble. Oh, it doesn't seem like it.
You see, I gave him the hard interview. He goes, I am Spartacus. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? I punched Richard Spencer.
It's weird.
Really weird.
So they also burned a Confederate flag. They said kill all Nazis. In addition to the thing where they say cops and Klan go hand in hand, which I thought was
probably not a smart move.
I don't have a problem with cops. It's just kind of silly.
Cops,
These
I guess
kids
you
are
could
like,
say.
this is what a police state looks like. And I was like, this place is fucking heaven. Looking around the campus, 72
Sure can get much
degrees,
worse. But
some nice chemtrails.
So you didn't see the cops do anything you would have thought was over
They
the
were
line.
just having a good time. They were just having a good time. I mean, everybody, it's a kid. They're such pussies, this city. I knew nothing was going to go down.
Okay, I'm going to
Be
switch
full of
on
pussies. You can't even smoke outside in San Luis Obispo.
at all, huh? Yeah, I remember I used to have friends that went to school there.
Really?
Cuesta and Cal
It's a good school. Oh, really? Cuesta, too? I like Santa Maria better than San Luis Obispo. It's dirtier.
They used to sell buckets of fries at McDonald's. They were like $4.99. They were like a 7-Eleven Big Gulp. They can't
It's
do it
totally
anymore, though,
worth it.
because people died, I think, or something, or
That'll
heart
feed you
attack.
for a week.
Yeah, it would. Let me show you. I don't know if you saw this yet. We'll skip over to...
Yeah, I'm sick of looking at my face.
Oh, good.
So is everybody else.
I wasn't gonna say it. So,
Have you been on camera yet on this show?
I have. Yes, I think so.
All right.
So talking about the Florida shooting, because in my mind, once you find that piece of evidence that you're like, okay, bar none, just like we saw with San Bernardino, that I now know that event was 100% a hoax. And this one, too, has joined the ranks, and I'll show you what some other people have found, and very interesting. Let me turn up my volume a little bit here. So we've seen this before, these people running out, but certainly it's funny when you see this guy in here earlier, this guy with the gray shirt right here running. He has all his bags with him and everything. And of course, how did this cameraman who's standing outside of the airport have his camera ready and pointed at the door at the moment that all these people come running out? He must have been ready for it. Now, here's the even better part. Okay, so watch this. Now, there's a lot of things going on here, but one thing that's interesting is as they're walking towards away from the baggage here. Okay, so you'll see this lady here is by herself. Okay, this with a green shirt hanging from her backpack. Now, she starts to go back like she dropped something, and here comes this guy running in out of nowhere to grab her bag, like they're all trying to grab something off the floor.
Oh, that guy in gray. Yeah, he really smoked in there.
Now, here's the interesting part. Look back here at this guy next to the tree wearing an ATF jacket.
Okay. See, I'm not seeing. Okay, so I'm not seeing it as big as you are. So you're saying next, right, kind of halfway behind the tree.
Oh, you can't see my mouse, huh? That's.
I think I see him. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. ATF.
And if you rewind it just a hair here, you'll see that he's actually directing traffic from behind that tree. The people are all waiting for the moment that they're supposed to. Okay, so right here.
So what the first footage was different, huh?
That was from outside.
This is footage that was supposedly from inside when it happened.
Right, so everybody's just kind of chilling. Nobody's running yet. And then what you'll see is there's actually a flash of light above this door over here. I'll show you. So above that door, which is, over by 9 o'clock, that black door, right on top of that, you'll see a little light flash here in a second. There it was. See it? So this.
Shit, I don't know which door you're looking at.
Let me see if I can get my mouse to work on here.
The guy at 9 o'clock. I see a door next to this guy with the pink shirt.
I think I might be able to change this so I can show my mouse here. Capture cursor. Okay, back to this. Now do you see my mouse?
No, but that's okay. Just explain it to me. I'll
see the guy with the pink shirt there, and on his right arm, on his right elbow, you see that black door back there?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
So watch right above.
I didn't see the flash of light.
Watch right above that black door. Right when we go here. Okay, so right above that black door, you're going to see a flash of light. See it?
Okay.
And
no.
Okay, so right above that, and I don't know how to do slow on here, but
and
it will flash again.
Are you in YouTube or what are you on?
No, I'm in my player.
Your player. You have a frame by frame? Oh, okay, there you go.
Let me see what this is. This is
okay. Where's the flash you're talking? Okay, well, anyway, I don't want to screw up the show for everybody else if it's obvious.
Yeah, you see this guy. You see his arm now by the tree.
The guy in pink.
No. Now we're looking at the ATF guy. He's standing behind the tree. You can just see his arm sticking out, his right arm.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So he's directing traffic. He's telling these people that are all standing in this hallway waiting. He's telling them to go now. And then so as soon as they see that, they all start running. And see, he's standing behind the tree directing the whole thing. He's still there right there.
Do you see him make an arm? Oh, I see.
Yeah,
he does.
Here comes a little bit slower.
So, there he did it with his arm. You saw his arm rise
see him
up.
right there?
His arm rises up.
And we'll see it again. Now watch the light on top of the brown door. It's going to go flash.
There,
then-
I see it.
Right.
Okay.
And then he
I saw
tells
the light.
everybody go, and this is where they all start running. And it all makes
And
no
then-
sense because these people dropping their bags, this guy wasn't even with her. And yeah, what is the ATF doing there before this event even happens is so obvious now that...
And then he zooms out.
okay,
Oh,
so watch
wow.
above the brown door again,
Yeah,
and you'll see
I see it now.
And I don't know why there's flashes there, but it's not like it's not an alarm
It's
or
like
anything.
maybe it was part of a fire alarm.
Maybe.
Could have been.
Because it only flashes, the twice.
Once.
Actually, it goes right here. You'll see one. Right here, you should see the first one. There's the first one. And then
I
it
didn't
does it
see it.
again, I think. Oh, maybe it was just once. Let's see. I think right here it does.
This is how Jeran and I watch videos, everybody. Seriously.
Yeah, really, we have too much time on our hands. But I didn't see this. I
How
forgot the
many
guy's name
flashes?
who I saw.
The
this on his
guy in
channel.
gray is the thing that stands out to me right away. The guy just comes dashing into the frame at full, speed and is reaching for this bag for some reason, like you said.
Yeah, that's really weird. I don't know if he would have walked ahead of his wife or something and then went back. And it doesn't look like she drops anything here. If you look,
And we are right.
see, there's nothing
Unless
behind
she was
her.
planning to.
There's nothing on the floor or anything behind her. And this guy
So
goes
look
running.
for her waiting to do something. That's what you want to see for an act. If she's an actress, right? She's waiting for a cue if things are about to happen there.
Look how they both go running like they're picking something
She was
up.
she was ahead of the curve. See, she heard about it before. Oh, wow.
It's so weird right there.
She turns around, sees the guy, and then she starts to move. And then the guy in pink, what is the guy in pink doing?
It's so weird because they don't even look like they're together. She's got all these bags. I mean, did her
The
husband...
guy in gray, I think, goes and grabs her. Okay, look,
He
he's
does.
running
Yeah.
already.
Like she drops something that he doesn't
Already
want
running
to
before
drop.
anything happens. And then he grabs her bag
Yeah.
and starts running off with it. What? Look. What the hell is that?
It looks like she dropped something and then they both knew that they needed to pick it
so.
up.
Okay, so I think I understand what was. Oh shit, my thing came undone. What it was supposed to be is that the guy heard the thing and was going to, heard the thing first, I guess, and then was going to grab it because it was his mom or something. But
Now, see, this is the same scene here because you can see this tree here, and it's the same scene. So rather than the people running this way
the
now,
ATF jacket. This last scene, did we see the ATF
no, he's behind the tree
jacket?
right there. See
Or
him?
was that?
This is still the scene where
Yeah.
he's behind the tree. But
And
then
there you can see it says TF.
But
and
then
there you can
this
see it says
scene here-
TF on the jacket. Okay.
this scene here is when you
Yep.
saw these people running out, and this is where you see that guy come running with the bag that we saw leave earlier with the blue shirt. So we can get up here a little bit. Oops. And I go back here. Anyway, that's you see the guy come around that corner, the guy with the blue bag that we saw running outside, moments later. And then also I got one other video here. Bring this one up.
So that's the same guy in gray you're saying that's running out the door?
No. I'm just talking about a different. The guy in the blue is not the same guy as the gray. And let's see here, this part here, if I can find what I was going to show. Yeah. So, and then there's also, have you ever seen the? I don't know. People have pointed it out before. I don't like to be redundant, but the girl that has the pink shorts, who's basically seen 3 or 4 times. Either she's sitting on the baggage claim next to a lady that's hiding behind some luggage. And
No, I haven't.
you haven't seen that one? Let me see if I can find it here.
No, because I did my coverage on it, and then any of this. It's amazing how much video you get from one event. When
Isn't
you look
it?
around at what other people have picked up, and you think about how much you've watched.
So explain to me, help me out with who is orchestrating these, and how do they get their actors, and why are these people okay with doing it, and how can they keep it? I mean, if you have actors, to me, it would be hard to keep down. I understand the whole idea of NASA being fake because if you have only a few hundred astronauts, they're all in some club or have been they're military, so they've got the oath. Whatever it is, that makes sense to me, and they don't bring in a lot of actors outside of those astronauts. So I'm just wondering, these look like regular people, like they're almost people that are at the airport, it seems like, but obviously they know that they're acting. How don't they go home and tell their friends, oh yeah, it was just an act? You tell me what you think.
Well, okay, so I thought about it. First of all, I'd say that law enforcement does it and is willing to go along with it, and generally officials who are involved with it are willing to go along with it because they're convinced of the necessity for real world drills.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as soon as you say that one of them was not real world, and then, you know, if they came out and admitted, oh yeah, Sandy Hook was for an agenda, sorry about that, then the world would blow up, you know? So I'm saying from the official point of view, if we say good cops or there's a good reason, regular people who have morals would still not say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that covers them. As far as so then you have people who are paid to be there, crisis actors, like all these people who are in a scene right now being
Mm-hmm.
paid. And they would have to sign iron tight non-disclosure agreements, first of all. So they would be breaking that.
So they are signing non-disclosure agreements, and that's how they keep them quiet.
I would assume, but that's not enough necessarily to keep somebody quiet. I mean, you have people talking. So you still would say, well, there's still so many damn people, and these events over time, you'd think they'd weigh on you what the results were from the events. So, but then I thought to myself, okay, so let's say I was one of those people, who would I tell? And, you know, what if I told the wrong person and I'm dead? You know,
right.
Like, what do you do? Approach a reporter? What reporter? How do you know? How do you know you're ever going to get on the air? How do you know then once you talk to them, you're never on the air and then you're dead anyway, you know?
Yeah, that's
all.
Hard part. Yeah, you know, I think they must be different people than we are. I can't picture.
Well, it's blackmail too.
Right.
I think they have leverage and they use financial motivation, but blackmail too. I mean, they take people who are compromised. That's why everyone, I think every suspect has been in trouble with the law before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's almost some kind of plea agreement or
do you remember
leniency.
the guy at San Bernardino that took the video of the SUV driving by?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah. So, you know, in looking him up, I saw that he was just let out of jail. I want to say it was a month or two before that event. So It may have been something where, hey, you do this and we let you out early. You know, that's a complete assumption. I'm not, you know.
Well, it's a pattern. It happens all the time
in
these events. You know, you see where, first of all, they're military or almost direct. Yeah, that's exactly the jacket he had on.
Right. So I just had a picture of that to show that.
Yeah, very clear.
And have you seen the images of this guy that was in the movie? You know,
Omar Mateen.
Yeah.
He was in the BP oil spill movie.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know if a lot of people knew that.
Which is why
as a cop, right?
The BP oil spill hoax. He played he was, okay, so
like
Omar Mateen was ex-military.
Uh-huh.
And he played a security guard in what was supposed to be a real documentary about the BP oil spill, but the BP oil spill was a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I first thought about it. I was like, oh, Omar Mateen was maybe the BP oil spill was a hoax. I've been wondering about that.
So that was,
and then it turns out.
So he's played in multiple
But
hoaxes.
he was Omar Mateen. So yeah, he has an IMDb page, and I believe he was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And then Farouk, his brother, was military.
An IMDb page does not mean anything because
it doesn't.
Yeah, because anybody can set. I have one, and I certainly didn't set it up. Hey, I do have to say something funny. Did you know that I'm in the Urban Dictionary? Jeranism.
No way.
Yeah,
Jeranism
somebody put Jeranism.
Nathan is in too.
Nathanism is in there. What does it mean?
No, Nathan. Just Nathan.
Oh, I wanted to know.
I'm
Nathanism.
not the only one. As much as I.
No, I actually like whoever put it in. Henry somebody says, I don't know. But
everybody's wondering why they don't get to see your face.
Oh.
It's because it's our first show showing faces again.
Let me see here. Nope, I'm back. See?
Oh, there you go. You look good today.
I wouldn't go that far.
What's up with the hat? Are you bald underneath?
No, I have hair. I have lots of hair.
Oh.
It's probably gray.
Well, if you have hair. Oh.
But it's freezing
like
cold.
Adam Young.
We don't have a heater.
Oh, is it cold?
Yeah.
We
live in a house that's 400 square feet. It should stay warm, but it doesn't really work.
Oh, a tiny house.
Very tiny.
Except not
Thanks
really.
a lot. Appreciate that.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's what I meant by the 400.
That's amazing.
No, it's like probably 600 square feet.
Wow. I think my garage is bigger than that.
Thanks a lot. Now I'm going. You're on your own. You got the
But I don't have. And I have a space. It's really cold. I mean, I wear gloves in here, but it was warm today, so it's better.
It was not warm here. I'll tell you that.
No.
Much. No, it's been cold lately. I mean, at least this last month.
I might come up tomorrow. I might come up to the Bay. I really want to do, this is off topic, I guess. I really want to start doing stand-up. And the reason I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about being in San Francisco. I want to tell people that the whole world is about to collapse.
It's flat? Oh,
you
sorry.
know, I just want to tell people what the hell is going on and how their lives are about to be destroyed.
You know, that might be a
What
good
do you
way
think
to do
about
it.
that?
I mean, I think, did you ever watch any of the stuff that Math Powerland or Boylan did when he was doing the stand-up about the Earth being flat? And the,
No,
Oh, he has it on his channel, some older stuff. Yeah, well, he does like, he calls it painting or picture or painting, and he was putting up pictures of the Earth and asking the crowd. I mean, it was really good, and he was funny doing it, but I could see that being a good way to wake people up.
Well, I just want to do it. Yeah, I mean, because it's the one thing is like what we do is that people come and look for it, and then we get people that, you know, but the thing about stand-up comedy is you have people stuck in a room with you who wouldn't normally listen to you, you know? So you get a chance to get out the message to people who wouldn't normally hear it, and maybe in a funny way. I really have some great material just from my personal life, like dick jokes and stuff, like the joke I made earlier today.
Good stuff.
I have material like that, but then I'd feel like I was I probably only have 5 or 7 minutes at a whatever you call it,
improv or
open mic.
Open mic.
So I'd only have time for one, dick jokes or end of the world. Reality.
You can come into studio if you want, because we had David Avocado Wolf in here yesterday. So
yeah, I was laughing about that.
Keep moving him in.
I would have been clowning on him if he were in my studio.
Because his middle name is Avocado.
Mm-hmm. Those are getting rare with our trade war with Mexico.
He brought me a vanilla bean though.
Did you ask? You just told me some funny stories about him. I won't clown on him. He was on your show, and I'm on your channel.
Yes. Well, you can be honest about anybody. I don't remember. What did I tell you about him? Did I say something about him?
I didn't know anything. You just said that I won't get into it. You told me a little bit about meeting him as a guest and all that stuff. The last time you met him?
Yes. Mm-hmm. When he came here the first time.
That's all.
Yep.
That's all. I just got an impression.
He had a poncho on, which was an interesting garment choice.
Was it raining?
No. This was like a Mexican poncho. Like he came out of Tijuana. It was kind of interesting. I didn't know.
And he had two assistants.
Wear those. Yes, he had 2 assistants, which must be nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's
funny.
He's doing well. But he's
it's funny. Other people in the truth game.
Yeah, you know what? You would like him for one reason specifically. He has the same kind of belief that you do. He would say the Earth is flat, I think, but more than that, he says it's an rational, irrational system.
Interesting. It is a system.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of has led me to start contemplating that, because it does seem like when we are doing our research and things, we're coming to some points where we kind of go up against a wall, and we feel like, oh man, this almost was there, but it doesn't quite seem right. And it looks like maybe that's the point, is that he describes it as a flat plane that we live on and a spherical sky, and it's meant to be irrational, and it just so happens that science came along and said, well, we're going to tell a lie and make it seem like we know. Because what it really does is it proves intelligence. Another example of that is the fact that the calendar cannot, or the calendar, like the calendar or the days or that can't be pinned down by humans. You know, the sun and the moon can never be reconciled. They're always off, which is why we have, 365.25 days or 0.2425. Because but when is there a quarter of a day? There's no such thing. It's just something that we've had to put in mathematically to allow for our years to work out, or else otherwise.
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so we have the leap day, right? Or leap year every 4 years, but not on the years that end in 00 or whatever. But we can't pin that down as humans, meaning we have to add a fake quarter of a day that doesn't ever happen.
Oh.
The sun doesn't come up a quarter of the way.
Right.
It's just added because we have to add a day. So it means that years aren't regulated. They're not.
It's just a new way of keeping. I mean, we just set up a calendar with the Gregorian system that's just completely solar and not lunar at all. And you can keep track of time a lot of different ways. I mean, the thing is they used to have 13 months every 3 years. But there's never a way to do it where the years work out.
You have to add a fake
No,
day.
there's no way. There's no perfect number of days that the sun returns to the same point in its other cycle, or
Right, which is kind of rationally rational. It doesn't. It shouldn't be that way. Why
I
how
don't-
can
Go
how
ahead.
could it not come back to where it began? I guess is
Well,
what I'm
because
saying.
it doesn't have to do it on a day. It's sort of like the moon. The moon doesn't do exactly 30 days. So
Right.
it doesn't have to go with the days. The days are separate from that.
Correct. Okay. That's what
So
I'm saying. Is it can't be like nailed down. We always have to add some arbitrary fake quarter of a day or add a day every 4 years or just to get it to always jive. So it's just kind of the things that he's talking about that and other things that you would think you would see and that we don't see, but mostly talking about the flat plane, the spherical sky, that it just doesn't really work out. There is no curvature to be measured, but on the other hand, we are seeing a sky that kind of resembles that of a of a spherical nature, like a spherical.
It looks like a
heavens.
dome when you look up, and
Correct.
when I look at chemtrails, it really illustrates it. Funny enough, because if you see them, they're flying on a flat. They're supposedly flying at the same height across the flat Earth, and you see them like they look like the space shuttle on one end, and then if you follow them across the sky, they go down the other way. So it does appear that way. And then the other thing, it's interesting you said that because I've been thinking the same thing. Is it's definitely, as far as we can tell, as far as we can measure, as far as we'll ever know, the Earth is flat. As far as we'll ever know, there is no perspective a human will ever get to where you would see the Earth from a perspective where it wasn't flat underneath you. Okay, that's my thought based on us not being able to go to outer space and so forth.
Well, I think one of the, there's a few things I don't think anybody brings up anymore. It's kind of like we've moved past them, but just the fact that when you stand at the beach, that the water goes up to your eye line, tells me that it can't possibly be a sphere that you're standing on the top of. Because if you were standing at the top of a sphere and the surface of that water was equal distant to the center of the Earth like you are where you're standing, then that means any distance from you has to fall away from you, right? If you're thinking of the radius line. So there's no reason why the water would rise to your eye level. It should fall away from you. It's getting, if you look out 3 miles away from you, that should be much lower than where you are because it has to be it has to be equal distance to the center. But it goes up, which tells me that it's a plane. It's a flat plane. It's not a ball would go out from your feet and fall away from you. Whereas we look at the ocean and we see it rise all the way to your eye level 3 miles away, and then it just stops there at a hardline horizon. Does that make sense?
It a little bit. The thing is about the horizon rising up is if you were on a top of a steep hill and looking straight down, the horizon would still rise up to meet your eye level because it's like a vanishing point thing. So I don't. It would still. It's hard to reconcile.
Yeah, I always go back to that too. I always say
imagine
like,
it
you couldn't live on a
because
ball.
the thing is like I said, like you could be on the top of Mount Everest, and if you look out, the ground is going to rise to your eye line. That's just the way. And when you're in an airplane, the same way. So, but with curvature, there is no curve. We definitely don't see curvature. So I'm with you on that.
Well, yeah, and what you're describing is what I'm saying. That's what proves that we're on a plane.
I don't know that it proves it or not.
And I can understand that because again, we're told that we live on a ball, and so we assume that those things. We say things like, "Well, it would come up to our eye line." But in my opinion, if you're on the top of Mount Everest and you're on a ball, then there's no reason it would come to your eye line. The only reason things do rise to our eye line is because it's a plane. We've just been told something else. We've been indoctrinated with something else. And so, yeah, anyway, I mean, and that's why I say that, it comes down to how could you ever test that? Either we live on a ball or we don't, so there's no really way to test it. But I think if people think about it...
Well, you can. You're going to do a test that does it. I mean, we can test... and I'm sure that if you do it right, that you're going to come up with the conclusion that it is indeed true, that when we look out, if you could see forever, that you would see, flat for, as far as the eye could see, that our perception of this place from this place is never going to be anything but flat. But I do it's interesting what he says, because I think for satellites to work, they have to work kind of as if we're round. So, and the sun and the moon and everything else. So I wonder that his theory is interesting for that reason, because there are some things that make it impossible for the Earth to be flat, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And there are some things that make it impossible for it to be spherical, obviously. But there are some aspects that only work with one model. You know, for example, eclipses, you know, which we could talk about. In fact, we're getting into the flat Earth thing because your one fan was angry last time when he tuned in.
That's true. We did
after being promised there would be flat Earth, and there was no flat Earth.
So you should tell me what the impossibilities are, just so I know what.
Okay. Well, each one is going to end up being a big topic, but
well, maybe I don't have to answer them today, but I can.
The lunar eclipse.
Okay.
That's the biggest one for me.
Okay.
How does what gets in front of the sun to pass a shadow over the moon? So that's probably the biggest one for me. And then there are a lot more. But I have something, if you want to talk about, we could talk about that, or we can talk about my thoughts on the moon and how the moon is lit up, how it works in a flat Earth system, how I love the way it works in a flat Earth system, and how it lights the moon the way we see the moon lit. And it gives some credence to the idea that the moon is real and is lit up by the sun, which I know some people don't believe.
I'm going to show you something interesting here. Hopefully this works. 1 second. Let me see if we can get this over. This is hopefully, let's see. Oh, that's good enough. Okay, so this is a interesting video that just came out, I think yesterday.
Alternative facts. That's funny.
With Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
That's great.
Whoops, that's a little loud. And it's just an interesting little point he has here where he tells people you can know the Earth is round because you can go on a ship and you get out to the ocean. And then he says you can also look at the eclipse. But he throws something in at the end here, which I think is certainly very strange. So you tell me what you think.
Hey, Bill, Frank Kane wants to know this. Talk All Access Live. That's what you should do. Yeah, you should watch this podcast and turn it up loud. You should.
He asked him about flat earthers, of course.
Right now we have a situation where people are.
Come on.
The role of finances, a difficult time. Hi, everybody. I hope this guy just says, Bill, can you please ring the bell? We love that. Right. Boom. There you go. Asked, answered. Okay. You ask, you receive.
Which one are you and which one am I?
This one? I just want.
I'm the black guy.
The excitement. The excitement. I'm losing it. Excitement slipping away. Bring it back now.
No, I'm not.
How do you handle a flat earther? Oh, you guys, there's not that many flat earthers.
By the balls.
It's not a big, and it's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing.
These are people who are desperately in need of attention. In medieval texts, you find references to round Earths. There hasn't been a real flat Earth person in a long time.
Liar.
And you guys, we have pictures from space.
Jeran,
If you're not happy with that, go on a cruise. You get over the horizon, you can't see land anymore. Why is that?
Because you can't see
Try it
that
yourself.
far, you
Don't
jackass.
for it.
If you were in a desert and there was a
eclipse, look for the
city
Earth's
too
shadow
far
on
away,
the
you couldn't
moon.
see that either. Sorry.
Did you catch that? I know he's an idiot, right?
Yeah, rewind it. I'm
Watch it right
sorry.
here.
I got angry.
I get angry at him too.
On a cruise, you get over the horizon, you can't see land anymore. Why is that? Just try it yourself. Don't take my word for it.
There you go. How come when you pull out a telescope,
look for the
then
Earth's
you
shadow
can't?
on the moon?
You got to watch this, Nathan. This time it's ready.
Sorry, I'm just getting angry.
Don't get angry at him.
Just try it yourself. Don't take my word for it.
There you go.
Next time there's a lunar eclipse, look for the Earth's shadow on the moon.
What is that about?
Oh, that was weird.
Why would you wink there?
Don't take my word for it.
There you go.
Next time there's a lunar eclipse, look for the Earth's shadow on the moon.
Why did you give that hard wink?
I can't. I had to show my wife. I had to go, Missa, get in here.
That was really weird. No, that was definitely weird.
So it just so happens to play into your saying that it's impossible that it can be something other than the Earth, but it could be.
I don't know what it is. I mean, all I know is the way the sun and moon work in the flat Earth UN map model, and it works for the way the sun's lit up.
Standard.
Go ahead.
And it makes sense that when there's a full moon, they are on opposite sides of the Earth, and something has to get in the way. And I don't know what can possibly get in the way. And if it were really that we were on a globe, I think we would have lunar eclipses way more often because it wouldn't be such a rare occurrence.
Me too.
I wouldn't think, for the Earth to get in front of the sun, and the moon would have to stay in such a anyway.
They tell us
way
it's
the
only
sun
a
and the moon
5% incline, to the orbital path, but it doesn't make any sense to me. It still seems like it should happen every month, and it doesn't. But also, if you check out Rob Skiba's done some good videos on it. I know a lot of people have seen it. That the shadow does not play into the geometry right.
Show your face.
Oh, sorry.
Don't show me.
I would never. Oh.
I was just shy.
Well, let me get this. I'm showing this. Did you see this video? I couldn't believe it. I tried to on my own sync today. But this is what happens, I guess, when they do fracking. Watch this lady light a match next to her water.
To my water. And like I said, it is unpredictable, but the methane randomly travels with the water. And sometimes it will light quite spectacularly.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, backed up.
Just like that.
Backed up through the pipe, too. God, she shouldn't do that. She could fucking blow up her kitchen.
Why do we have freaking methane coming through our water pipes?
Well, when's that video from? Because this was something that was in... This was something they're going to claim doesn't happen anymore, is the thing.
Now, Chesapeake is going to say, well, there's...
Did you just almost repeat what he said? I don't know. Is it an old video? Yeah, it is an old video. But is that what happens when you frack? Is that what they said happened before?
Well, that was something that was happening early on for sure. And it's something they claim doesn't happen anymore. And I don't know if it does because I haven't heard about it as much. There was something called, what was it called? Gasland or something. There was like did Michael Moore do a documentary on it? Somebody did a documentary on it where they showed that exactly that.
I don't know. I was looking at a lot of the the BlackRock and stuff today, and looking into what was going on with the Dakota pipeline, because there's they're still going right through it, even though they shouldn't be in there.
Well, Trump said, yeah,
exactly. So I was looking into that, but then I saw this video, and I did not know that happens with fracking.
Yeah, well,
or you said used to.
You know about earthquakes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the earthquakes happen, and it's not because of the fracking itself. It's because of it creates. I guess they use a lot of water for to push in and break stuff up, and they have to end up pushing it back into the earth. And I guess the way they do that, sometimes it hits fault lines, and there are just tons and tons of earthquakes in like the Dakotas. And
well, there was another oil spill in a river in Montana yesterday, I think.
Oh, really? From fracking?
No, just another pipeline that broke. That it keeps happening all over, and then it's going to be all those rivers are frozen over right now, so it's going to take them a long time to get. And I don't even think you can clean that up. I don't believe you can clean those things up.
No, it's crazy. I mean, there are a lot of people in our line of work that will say that we should use oil because it's a resource, and that global warming or man-made climate change is, as a theory, is to make us use less oil when we don't need to, and less coal. And I think that is perhaps true, but there are still problems with using natural resources. I mean, if you think about it, every story about religion or spirituality is also about appreciating what you're given, but from the earth, and using it, not overusing it, basically, not killing the white buffaloes, that kind of thing,
not destroying every forest that we have and knocking all that stuff down. No,
yeah,
and,
exactly.
I mean, that's why the climate change does kind of create an interesting dilemma, because you want obviously everyone to do their part to not use the natural resources, but you can clearly tell with the climate change that it's agenda driven, and it's for they don't care about us. That's the way, that's the best way to describe it. It's just like I don't quite get when they come out on their soapbox and pretend like they are trying to protect people. They don't care about people. That's obvious. And so when they do, something's up, and it's just something they don't care about. And that's I don't know if you saw an interesting thing. Did you watch? My wife and I went live. Was it last night or night before? Oh no, it must have been night before. And that was because we were just looking through some paperwork or some stuff online, and I was looking through the Challenger. It's called the Challenger Store or something. It's a offshoot of NASA. Basically, is teaching kids. Challenger Center, thank you. And they have a bunch of curriculum online that you can go to, and you can bring up these different lesson plans and things for teachers to use in class. And we found this lesson plan that basically lays out Wernher von Braun's life as a SS officer. Says flat out that he was involved in slave labor, that he was involved in creating the V2s that took out places in London, that he was even witnessed people dying or had something to do with people dying in the camps. And then it goes through the story of saying all the great things he did at NASA. And what they're teaching kids at the end of this story is that the ends justify the means.
Really?
It is the worst thing I've ever seen. I was shocked so much to the point I said, I got to go live with this. This is ridiculous. It actually tells a story. Nathan, you tell me if you think this is something we were taught as kids. At the end, it gives the kids a what if scenario. And it says, if you had your best friend who you found out after school was going to go fight another school after school was going to be a big fight. And
right.
your friend's going to go there. So you race home after school and you get there and you pop her bike tires. And then when she gets there and she says, what happened to my bike tires? And you just say, oh, I don't know. I have no idea. They're teaching kids that is the method, or not the method, but that is an okay thing to do rather than to let your friend go fight. But they completely leave out the whole part of, why don't you have a conversation with the person? Why don't you tell an adult? Why don't you? I mean, it was ridiculous. The whole paper was ridiculous, and the way that they are just pushing the idea that the ends justify the means, that, sometimes you got to do the nitty gritty, you got to do the dirty to get the good job done. They said, hey, he did do all this bad stuff, but he was so smart in science and math that it was okay because the United States needed him to send men to the moon. And
I'd be interested in looking at that story. That's interesting. That's the moral you think is that they get from it.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Huh?
I don't think there's any doubt. I'll actually bring it up. I'll show you because it's interesting, because here's what's happening is that they are. It now makes sense to me why we're seeing the kind of kids that we are seeing, and why even with my son. There was a disconnect when he would come home from school, and some of the stuff he would talk about or say, or the way he would act in certain situations, it just didn't fit my upbringing. And now when I realize,
show your face.
Sorry.
People have been looking at me this whole time.
Not the whole time. That's not true.
Okay.
Right. I'm trying to go to the site here if I can find it. It was called Challenger Store?
Center.
Oh, Challenger Center. Sorry. Yes, I'm going to go there real quick. But he was, he's just always... And now when I see that, I'm like, man, if they're teaching kids like this, like they're changing the way that they, that they get their point across. They're raising them in a way that creates, I don't want to say it's science that creates these kind of people, but if you go, ODD, shout out to ODD, did a great video today where he showed the comments that he's gotten on his channel. And it made me laugh because I get the exact same comments, which are, he read some that, there should be a flat earth or Holocaust, that somebody should stab us in the throat and that they would get a kick out of watching us bleed out. Whereas if you could not make a video that ODD or I would comment 5% of that negativity, of that hate, of that vitriol, it's just not in me. I can't think that way just because somebody has a different opinion of me. If somebody thinks the earth is a tetrahedron, it doesn't matter to me. That each person is free to think whatever they want. I cannot imagine somebody saying something on YouTube that would cause me so much anger that I would then write that they should be a part of some sort of Holocaust, that I should stab their throat and watch them bleed out. So what it's showing me, though, is this is what they're teaching kids. This is what is being taught. This is not just a natural thing. It's part of the culture. It's part of what they're doing. It's part of what they want kids to be like. Like, if you don't believe in what great science tells you, then you're a cancer to the society. You are, don't breed. Don't breed. You cannot breed if you believe the Earth is flat. You're going to wreck the society, and it must be being taught, in my opinion. It's just something that I don't think. Yeah, I'll bring this up right now. Let me transition to this browser thing here. So here we go.
STEM, yeah.
Yeah, STEM, and it's hello. Can you focus on this? Yeah, so there's this whole advanced learning and simulated learning all the way down here. But I found at the bottom these. Hopefully, I can find it here quicker. Where did I go? So I'll find it in a second. But have you seen anything like that? I mean, have you do you?
Well, the point is that you're saying that it's teaching that the ends justify the means, and that von Braun, you're saying that von Braun is painted, or the fact that even that we took von Braun, who wasn't a great guy, but that he did great things, was justified. That's interesting. It's interesting in the sense that these kids that I saw today, you know, they felt justified in saying kill all Nazis, which oddly enough, because, you know,
yeah,
who are the I want to know who are the Nazis. I mean, I could play them chanting it, kill all Nazis, but I know this is a Nazi that we're supposed to like now, but still, that's a weird story. I have a whole idea for how to educate people, because, you know, for every revolution, the schools are important, and that's what the bad guys have used against us. So education is really important. So changing the way we educate kids is really important. I have a whole idea about it. Part of it is telling people that that the truth is, you know, they need to figure out how to find the truth for themselves and teach them how to do that. That's all they need to learn. The information now is available, and there's plenty of it, and it doesn't all say the same thing. So people need to learn how to find information and how to process information, not what information is true. Except then they have to learn how to count in duodecimal, also count in 12s.
That would be smart. Yeah,
Base 12.
Even that Bill, I'm trying to find this still, but even that Bill Nye conversation that we were just watching, at one point he's talking about how we need to handle kids in science class, and he says, you know, we need to, if I say the Earth is round and you say it's flat, he says we need to come to a common ground about what we're going to use to measure the test that tells us what the final result will be. And then he says, and we need to know who is the authority that we have judge.
See,
you know, that's the problem.
That's what it comes back to. Is it's just like the mainstream media now. You don't have to find the thing if you don't want. I mean,
oh no, I do want to find it. I'm trying to find it here.
But that's the thing, is who is the ultimate judge? And you know, with the media, what is it? Snopes.com, is that the ultimate judge of what's true and what's not? And that's what Obama always went back to. We need to establish accepted facts, and the question is, where do those accepted facts come from? I was going to start making a list of all the things that were accepted facts that are now accepted falsehoods by the same science that said they were facts.
Is that like the
sugars? You know, fats are bad for you. All this, a million different things.
Is that like the you know, the book All the Lies My Teacher Taught Me?
Yeah, I mean, really, but people like the people were taught about peanut allergies. You're not supposed to feed kids under 2. Now that's the opposite of what's supposed to be true. Mammograms, you're supposed to get them all the time. Now you're not supposed to get them all the time. It's worse for you. You know, first was fat was bad for you, but really sugar was the thing that was always bad for you. And then besides that, sugar isn't bad for you as long as it's natural or occurs naturally. And fat's great for you. Anything that tastes good, anything that you feel like eating that makes you feel good, eat it.
In moderation. No, I'm just kidding.
In moderation, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it won't make you feel good, you know, if you don't have it in moderation. So just pay attention.
So this is our video, but I'm actually just trying to figure out what the URL is.
Oh, don't worry about it, man.
Oh no, I mean, but it is. You watch this video, just type in Jeran and Indoctrination, and you'll see that it tells you exactly what the goal of the program is, and how they're going to set it up, how you're supposed to talk to them about Mr. X and Mr. Y, and Mr. X and Mr. Y are the same person. They're both Wernher von Braun, and it tells you that. I mean, weird. So see here, this is biography of Mr. X and biography of Mr. Y, and you know, biography for Mr. X is all about everything he did in Germany. He worked for Germany in World War II, helped build 2 V2 rockets, which stand for vengeance. It killed people, did a lot of damage. He was a member of the SS. Laborers became ill and they were left to die. So it talks about him there, and then it goes to the biography of Mr. Y and says, he was a naturalized citizen. In the 50s, he helped build many. So they've now set the kids to think this guy is great and this guy is a dirtball. And then they go and research and find out, oh, they're actually the same guy. So then the question becomes, here's your do now dilemma, which is you hear your friend that lives next door is going to ride her bike across, and the whole goal of this is to show that once you do the research and you find out that, all the good that he did, that you can forget about the bad.
So is that the conclusion? That's what I want to know is that the clear conclusion, or are they just saying it's something to think about?
So here, no, he just asked, is it that that's the clear conclusion, or is that something they want the kids to think about?
No. Go back to the top of the paper.
Yeah, at the top of the paper here, it says the students will read the short biographies. The instructor will lead the students.
By the end of this.
Yeah, by the end of this, that the students will expand their chart, the brainstorming session. I'm trying to see where it was, but basically they spell it out that they want the kids to be able to recognize that historians and people who write history have a tough job to do because they need to weigh all these things in, and it's terrible.
I wonder if they're preparing for people knowing, because now they know that they can't just.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, that wasn't known when I was in school.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like maybe they're preparing, because normally for us, we would just they just wouldn't put it in the books. But maybe now they're preparing for a future where people do know what's going on.
Well, I think, it's come out now that, there's paperwork and everything of Wernher von Braun, even writing letters telling people, yeah, it is true. I was in the SS along with Hitler, and please don't tell people that because it will give them a bad impression of me. There's letters, right. I mean, official letters from him. And that was something that wasn't really known, when I was in school. So, of course, they didn't have to prep us for that. But what they're doing is they're getting the kids ready to know that they're going to hear that Wernher von Braun was a Nazi and that the ends justify the means. They're programming them from the start, which is just scary as all get out. And again, there's even, at the beginning of this video, we watched these kids here doing this test or doing this gravity well where they put this ball in the middle of this saran wrap and they're throwing these balls around it. And it's so sad to watch these damn kids because it doesn't make any sense in the fact that the balls just crash into the middle ball. And the kid kind of says, like, why doesn't the planets crash into the sun? And, and the teacher says, well, it's because this piece of plastic here causes friction. But in space, there is no friction. So then the kids kind of get it. But then they're talking about, well, how come the balls orbit this big ball? And she says, because of the indentation that the sun makes on the plastic wrap. So the kids are looking at it like, wait a second. If the plastic wrap doesn't exist in space, then how the hell does the sun indent anything? And that's, I mean, it's just so crazy that we're, and
I've been thinking about gravity quite a bit.
Have you? You have a new theory?
Well, no, I was thinking about how I was thinking about how gravity, that there is no gravity on the moon. That was going to be my proposal, that the gravity as we know it, which is that objects accelerate towards Earth, from everywhere. Okay. So, but then I thought about it. I thought about the moon and tides and how the moon does affect tides. And that would be from gravity possibly. And the tides get bigger when the moon is closer.
Well, it could be magnetics because it doesn't happen in lakes. So it's probably salt water.
It doesn't happen in lakes, huh?
They say it's like 2 centimeters, but I mean, it would, like in the Great Lakes, there should be quite a big tide. If it was from.
See. And so they don't experience real high and low tide in the lakes.
By a couple centimeters, I think, at the most.
Interesting. But even if it had a couple centimeters, you'd still wonder. The only thing is then I was thinking I'd have to do the math for how far away the sun is supposed to be because the effect of gravity, if it is the way it's supposed to be, it does lessen exponentially as you get further away, but then the sun is exponentially larger than the moon.
I don't think there's any kind of attraction between masses.
Well, I wonder if the tide. I mean, you could show that maybe the tides should also rise with the sun then, So I need to look into that. But that is something also a concern.
Yeah, I think that if you ask me, I would say that gravity exists if you want to talk about the the tendency for things that weigh more than the air surrounding them to fall to the earth. But then I think that there's atmosphere where those things are in play, and then above that, I think you have the ether. And I don't think the ether. I think that's such rarefied air that there is not the same rules that apply. I think that you don't. It just.
I agree with that.
Those things just float. They don't need to be in orbit, or they don't need to be, or attracted by another mass. I just don't think that that's. There's no mass that that should. I mean, like I've said before, if I put a grain of sand against my body, it's not going to stick there. But I am clearly a large mass versus that grain of sand. But
they'll
say it just falls to the earth because the earth is big.
Relatively speaking, I mean, you are a large mass compared to that. But the thing is the way it works is that there's more attraction between the more mass there is, the more attraction there is. So what they would say is that the grain of sand doesn't have that much attraction itself because it's very small, so you wouldn't attract each other hard enough.
So we should be able, maybe there'd be a way to get some sort of a test as far as the way that the sun and moon work, as far as, because when the moon comes around the earth and it gets in between the earth and the sun doesn't pull it away because they mathematically it works out for them that it doesn't pull it enough that it gets out of the earth's orbit. But that should be the case then as far as that piece of sand, meaning that if I have the sand near me, the earth shouldn't affect it that much because I'm such a large mass in between those. That's why they say that the moon doesn't go off towards the sun.
It's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. Yeah. I mean, all I can say is that, from thinking about it quite a bit and even believing in orbit and even believing in satellites, because I think the moon and sun are satellites, I do think that everything accelerates towards Earth until it hits something, basically, and then water happens to be buoyant. We know it happens in a vacuum, so atmosphere and air don't have anything to do with it. Although they can slow down something can catch air. But yeah, I agree with you that we can't get out, and there's no reason to even think about outside of this realm because it's hard to even imagine because it's like saying, well, what is the shape of Earth once you see it from a distance? Well, we can't.
Right.
We would never know. I mean, no human, nothing we can imagine of that exists in this realm could observe us from outside of this realm.
Let me ask you a question about if you were to tell me why you would even believe that space would exist. If we know we can create a vacuum on Earth, but the vacuum chamber has walls, which is what contains the air that you suck out. It has to have walls. You can't just make a vacuum out of so how would space even exist? Because there is no walls. So how could there be a vacuum? It's again, it's metaphysical to me. It's not something that is a reality-based idea.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know either. What exists, then what is out there? And then the other thing was, yeah. Oh, well, that's what it actually is out there. Yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking was like, wouldn't satellites be attracted to other satellites? Like there would be problems with all kinds of things if things are all attracting each other.
Well, that's all the thing about the Saturn. Saturn has 62 moons, and half of them go the other way. Half of them are not even orbiting the right. They go opposite ways. And
how's that possible?
You're asking me. And then you have them all crossing each other and at different times. I mean, wouldn't that pull? And then I tried to ask him before about the rings because the rings are so-called little rocks that are flying around in orbit. And how could all those moons be in orbit also and never throw off? Because you figure if one of those little rocks goes off a little bit, it's going to cause a catastrophe. Everything would just go to... And then anything in orbit is supposed to come back towards Earth, or not Earth, but towards the larger body. So it should recede towards Saturn. So how long have those rings been there, and how long will they be there? Shouldn't they be being attracted to Saturn and being destroyed if
You
that's
don't want to don't think about it too much. You don't want to do that.
no, you go
Then-
crazy.
then
Well, but I
you'll
mean,
never
this is what I
then
want
you'll-
people to
then-
do. Is I want people to think about it, because I think
Yeah.
that that's the problem, is that we just accept what we were taught as it's just, oh, it must be true because these scientists would never. In fact, watch ODD's video when he's reading his comments, and one of the comments actually says from somebody, "There's no way what you're saying is right, because if it was true, the scientists would tell us."
Oh,
and I mean,
really?
this is, you know, I just have
What are
a
you
problem
gonna
with
do?
that, is that I just don't like the idea of them teaching things in school that, in my opinion, have turned the world into what it is. I think it's an absolute result of the way that they're teaching kids. I think that as bad as Christianity is, as terrible as I think that some of those people are, and that the hypocrites that they are, or the, you know, if you ask me, what do I get the most? You know, I get half the comments that are hateful against me are from science lovers. The other half are from Christians. And I think that the middle is where you know, the best place to be is. But I certainly don't think that if the world was Christian, it would be as bad as it's becoming because of science, because you're teaching kids that it doesn't matter, that you just die and you become worm food. I think that's a problem. I think you're going to have kids acting like they do, where you can just go into a YouTube comment and just type a bunch of vitriol and say how much you hope that their necks get slit, because what difference does it make to somebody who doesn't think there's anything else important going on here, because they're just a product of evolution, which, you know, it just makes no sense that they're even teaching that kind of junk to kids. To me, I mean, I just, you know, I'm on my soapbox. I'll get off.
No, I think there's something to that. Gosh, I had something to say, but now I'm hearing myself echo. Oh, there we go. That's better. I was going to say something.
What's your opinion of evolution, real quick, just so I never asked you that before, where you stand with that?
I think I've started to think that dinosaurs are probably a hoax.
I'm
So
impressed.
I stand there. I do believe we are adapted over many millennia to be perfect for our environment, for our Earth, and that we are perfect for it, and things have developed harmoniously. You know, there are species that have evolved, I believe, to be symbiotic, sort of like the dodo and whatever fruit the dodo ate, that the fruit couldn't reproduce without going in a dodo's stomach or whatever, assuming that's a real story.
Mm-hmm.
But you see that. I mean, you see things in nature that are adapted to their environment. Yeah. We are made perfectly to be on Earth, and even our clean thoughts and everything lead us in exactly the right way. Like, our programming is actually good if we get down to the real programming and not the junk programming. And then the other reason I say that is because we're healthiest when we live as if we're cavemen, you know, as if as if it were 10,000 years ago. And my suggestion is that that's how long it takes us to evolve. So if we lived like this in this world, then we'd evolve to thrive on GMOs and, you know,
but that'd be more adaptation, right? I mean,
what's that?
That's more adaptation.
Well, it depends on how you say it. Yeah. Like, so as far as us evolving from apes, I don't know.
Or even evolving
I know that we've gotten taller. I mean, we've changed quite a bit in very short period of time. I mean, you go to Europe, you know, the people were 5 feet tall.
Right.
You know,
the scary thing is that
still exist.
They're teaching, you know, kids that we basically all came from one animal. That basically that one animal branches off, and there's no evidence of that anywhere that, you know, I've ever seen, that an animal can turn into another animal. And it wouldn't even, I mean, and this is where I mean that people, I know it's not good to think about it too much, but if they did think about it, it simply doesn't make sense. You cannot have animals that evolve into a new species, because they would have to have somebody of the opposite sex evolve at the exact same time, and those two creatures would have to be close enough to each other and have a sexual relationship in order to have the next one. It's just impossible.
Well, it doesn't work exactly like that, but yeah, I mean, they would have to show more transitional evidence than I think they have. And as far as human evolution, which I guess they have shown, it's always been human. I don't know that there's the missing link, right? I mean, that's the whole thing.
Wouldn't there be billions of them?
It's missing. And the point is the link is missing between any theoretical species jump. Although our species our species now is Homo
sapien, 10,000
is
years
Homo
old, I think,
sapien,
or-
right? But our species would have changed. Like, wasn't it a different species before, or is that
Yeah.
a genus or something? Yeah. So we have theoretically, and I think that's possible. I think it's possible that over time our brains get bigger. The question is whether something that wasn't human then became human, and then humans became a thing. That would be very difficult to pull off. Yeah, I think
Right.
something like Neanderthal to Homo sapien is probably.
Yeah, I could see that being true. I just think that when you're talking about, what if one evolved in Africa and one evolved in South America? Well, they don't live anywhere near each other, so those don't meet each other, so there's no more evolving. Those two die off, and it just doesn't work that you can have over and over again when you just keep getting lucky. What it looks like is somebody put all of the species here with a male and a female. It's the only thing that could have happened. I don't know. I'm not saying I claim to know how it happened, but it couldn't have been a natural evolving thing. It just, in my opinion, it couldn't have been, because you need a male and a female. First of all, you need a reproductive system. So that has to be created somehow. How can you just, what if you're evolving your reproductive system, then you can't have kids because your system's not evolved yet, so you just die off. So to me, it would never happen. It just seems so ridiculous that science is calling that a absolute fact of science.
Let me give you I'll give the scientific explanation, because I think it's reasonable.
Okay.
Is that mutation happens over time, natural selection happens over time, and when you have a favorable mutation, and the thing is there could have been, you could have a bacteria or something, or plants, for example, like marijuana is male and female, but most plants aren't. They're both at the same time, but marijuana is different.
Let's start on like a more. So after the dinosaurs get extinct, let's just pretend that happened, like science says. So 67 million years ago. So only something the size of a badger would have survived. So tell me how we go from a badger. How does that process begin to where a new species would come about, where you have to evolve your digestive system, your reproductive system, the idea of male and female branching off. So I guess tell me how that can happen in 67 million years, because that I don't even think it's.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah,
I don't know that the thing is I don't think time works the way we think it does. I think it expands the same way the universe does as you get further away. So it may, in a way, be 60, sort of like the way I feel about the sun.
Mm-hmm.
It takes light that long to get there, but it's actually because light slows down or things stretch out as you get further away. So I kind of don't think it's that old in a lot of ways, and I kind of have a feeling. I really don't know. I don't have a religious dog in the fight. I do think adaptations, like think about dogs, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could they evolve into a wolf, which is a different species? I mean, over time, if they become more aggressive, longer fangs.
They're the same species. They're both canines. Huh? I believe they're both the same species.
They're both canine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I could be wrong, but I think wolves became dogs.
I would question whether they are. They're definitely both canines, but I don't know if, for example, is Doshi the same species as a cheetah? I don't think, even though they're both felines. So I'm just saying,
good point.
Could you imagine that developing over time? And I can imagine stuff like that, but then I don't know. I don't know, which is enough for me to say, well, then where I used to say, well, they have to teach evolution in schools and they have to teach, that's the only thing. And now I think, well, I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, science has a couple things that stick out to me without a doubt as huge red flags. One of them being the moon landing. I think that for anybody who claims to be a scientist, who claims to look at evidence, who claims to use logic, that to come to the conclusion that we went to the moon and without any proof other than, well, 400,000 people were included in it and NASA would never lie. To me, that's a big problem. The second thing being evolution. If they didn't push evolution, then I would think they were real scientists. But the fact that they've got people like Dawkins and these guys who will go out and they will yell at you if you dare say anything different. They will tell you this is a fundamental fact of biology, that everything evolved from like kinds. And I can't find anybody who can explain it. Not even Dawkins. You can get Dawkins to try and explain it. He sounds like a fool. He says, that there was fish, and then the fish grew legs, and then they walked out on the earth, and then they got taller, and then they got up, and then they swung from trees, and then that's a real easy story to tell, but there's no mechanism that moves these things into new species, because they have to evolve at the same time. If you have to have a male and a female crocodile that evolve to the next species at the same time, and they have to be close enough to each other to have offspring together. And then even that only creates one. You still have to have another family who has the same thing happen to bring those two together. It just seems like it would be.
I do understand what you're saying. And it kind of makes me think about it. So yes, I do think a species can adapt and develop as a group over time.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go from a small-brained, big-skulled, hunched over human into the human we are today. And that's and I think I didn't understand the point 100% that you were making. I had an objection to it, but you're right, because it's not about that. It's about there was an ape. It was an ape, and then there were humans, and there were still apes.
Right.
That's the thing. So it's different. Yeah. So I think that you're right. It's a good, fairly astute point, I think, saying that it is hard to imagine how you split off, not just develop altogether, which you can imagine.
Right.
It starts to be that the better genes start to, spread out across the population, and the population changes over generations. But yeah, it's a good point. I don't know about, we're in such a simulation. I don't know. And in a certain sense, it's like thinking about what the shape of the earth is if you could see it outside of the realm.
Right.
We can't possibly see it.
It's like the idea of rational, irrational again. I think it comes back to that, is that it is unexplainable how everything got here, but you're supposed to recognize that it's not what these guys are telling you. That's my opinion, is that's the goal of life. The goal of life is you've got men who are telling you every aspect of your life. They tell you what your religion should be. They tell you what your science should be. They tell you what you should believe, what you should think, what you should do, what's healthy for you, with doctors telling you that, what you should do to your child with immunizations. Across the board, you've got men who are interjecting in your life. And I think the whole goal of life is simply to recognize that it's not possibly true. It's not possibly true that evolution is true. It's not possible what they're saying.
Hold on. See, don't take that, everything's possible. That's the whole thing. Is we want to say,
sure, everything's possible.
People just need to learn how to discern for themselves. I mean, we have opinions, but I've had things that I firmly believed were true, in my right mind, and they weren't true. And I'm going to go ahead and say that that's why I won't commit to the earth being flat, even though I'll say our observation of it, everything we know about, everything we can test probably is that it's flat. But that doesn't mean that it's flat if you saw it from theoretically the sun, but it's impossible to do that. So who cares? And so the same way with evolution, I think it's a reasonable theory. I mean, it's not a bad theory.
It's not a bad
just
theory,
like there's nothing wrong with teaching gravity because it happens. And the thing is people, that's what I mean about educating people, is to me, you have to educate people how to think, and then how to read information, and how to have comprehension, and you have to teach them how to add and subtract right, which involves, for me, a different number system, but that's beside the point. You could teach it with our own number system, but people need to be taught how to think, how to be objective, how to counteract the programming that makes us think wrong all the time, that makes us make mistakes and make us make bad judgments. That's the nice thing about neuroscience, is that they're talking about this stuff. Science is talking about this. Science is talking about the science of being happy. So that's not a bad science. The science of decision making, and how many things trick us into making the wrong decisions, and how we can counteract those. So that's good science too.
And mostly it's incorrect information to start with that causes you to make bad choices. I mean, they don't teach kids in high school what credit cards do to you. And so every single person that gets out of high school sees a letter when they turn 18 to get a credit card, and and everybody goes into credit card debt. But I'm just saying that it seems to me that it is by design that we are fooled, we are tricked. Whereas I think that public school wise, you maybe should put kids in a public school to learn math. And I mean basic add, subtract, divide, multiply, possibly a little bit of algebra, and to read. And I think after that, I don't think you should you can't teach science. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you teach science? Is the process.
It depends on what you mean by science. I mean, there are things, Newton's laws are, the conservation of.
Well, yeah, but they're taught and they teach them that they happen in space. So they say every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what's the equal and opposite reaction of the Earth spinning? There isn't one. They get to make up shit and say it. And,
sure. Yeah. Well, that's another point. But I mean, science. To say science is bad. I mean,
like biology, for instance,
there is observation.
Yeah,
biology's not bad.
Well, and what I'm saying is things can change, but you're teaching kids that they can't. You're not teaching them they can't. You're teaching them that it's already been found out.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I agree with what you said. To me, it's sort of like how I thought about acting school is like the classes where you learn technique, adding, subtracting, alphabet, reading, other languages, maybe, those are things that you have to learn that way. Like you have to learn your times tables. Otherwise, you can't figure it out in your head. So I agree. And then I believe in schools for socialization. Basically, I think it should be, if not homeschooled, a community person who is a good teacher, who does it for families or whatever it is,
That's a great idea.
Some kind of homeschooling and then socialization, maybe, and just make sure, because, that's the problem with homeschooling is the kids got to meet other kids.
It happened to my son that, we homeschooled him 6th and 7th grade, 7th and 8th grade. And he did great school-wise, but he fell behind socially because he didn't have that interaction. So you have to, that's why we let him go to high school, public school. But I think it also taught him to, we were able to tell him everything you learn in school is not the truth. You are learning things so that you can show your ability to gather information and then regurgitate it. So you read a history lesson or a history chapter, then the test comes, you have to show that you're capable of memorizing what you read and answering questions based on that. But it doesn't mean that what you're answering is a fact. And I'm happy teaching my son that and letting him, because I'm not going to tell him, hey, the earth is flat or the earth is a sphere. I'm telling him just because the school tells you something doesn't mean it's a fact. You still should do your own observations. You still should do your own studies and whatever feels comfortable to you. For me, I wish somebody would have told me that going into school. I didn't get that option. I just had to assume that what they were teaching me was the truth, and it never made sense. And I just said, okay, well, I guess I'm too stupid to understand it, and maybe that's still the case. But I still think that when you really look at it, you just got a bunch of men who got together and basically all agree, and it's just an echo chamber. I mean, it's not really good science, especially when you're talking about things that nobody can follow up with. I believe in computer science. Computer science is great. I don't think that they're hiding secrets from us as far as how computers are built or things like that. But I think that when you get to the cosmos, nobody can go there to double check these theories. And that's what's scary. When you hear Newton made these thought assumptions back in 1600, well, they kept going with him through 1700, through 1800, through 1900. It wasn't until 1969 or 1972 that they were able to go up and confirm what they had been talking about for 300 years. So if they would have gone up and saw that they were wrong, then would they tell the world that, oops, science made a mistake, the church was right, we were wrong? The answer is absolutely not. They would have done everything to protect their little asses. And it just comes back to, again, trusting men is a scary thing unless have you ever met anybody in your life, Nathan, that hasn't lied to you ever?
Yeah, probably.
Really?
Because, you don't talk to some people you don't talk to that long.
I guess I'm more talking about people that you've had a
people in my
connection
life?
with. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if my doctor has lied to me. I'm not sure.
You wouldn't know. Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't know. But, like a lie and the truth are almost the same thing. So I just want to say science is okay. Physics is pretty awesome. The first law of thermodynamics is pretty awesome.
What's the first law?
I think a lot of it's true.
Items in
whatever the one that says that nothing is created or destroyed, and which is true within our system, the Earth, which is a closed system except for some stuff that shoots in asteroids or whatever sometimes. But we're in a closed system, and you cannot create or destroy anything. It just changes forms, and that was brilliant. The fact of gravity is brilliant. So there are a lot of things about science which are okay. Biology is good. Huh?
Which gravity? There's two. I mean, you're talking Newton gravity
I'm
or
talking
Einstein?
About, oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. Newton just found out that things fall toward Earth at the same rate. All things, right?
Well, Newton is the one that said that two items of mass, have the connection between two items of mass, whereas Einstein went off that.
Now, did he test that? So if you hang up two bowling balls, is it measurable that they attract each other? Is that experiment
there's a Cavendish experiment that was done in the late
How does
1700s.
That work?
I don't think it's. They hang a stick from a string, and then put two masses on the side, and then this, but it's hanging from a string, so a string is going to have, it's going to have that little back and forth.
So what
motion.
happens? What happens to the stick?
It goes to the two balls. So if you have two masses here, and the stick will go to the two balls. But I guess that could be anything. It's a, it could be a magnetic thing to where
magnetic.
Yeah, which I think is what it is. I think
which is probably what gravity is. Yeah. So in that sense, it kind of exists. Because it's probably the same way the tides.
I guess I had a problem with you saying that you thought you said gravity is a great theory or something like that.
No. Just no. I was just thinking of the fact that everything falls towards Earth at the same speed. I thought that's pretty much as far as he got with it. I didn't even know that he got to them attracting each other. I mostly like it for the nothing being created or destroyed, which is very true. So I am okay. I'm okay with science and math. I went to a high school. I went to the #1 high school in the country for science, school for science and technology. But I was misled about certain things. I would just say that people need to learn to think, and it's really no question is ever going to be answered except by you. So, and that's really the bottom line. And you have to, you can't let anybody tell you that something's.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I don't think I was taught to think. I think I was taught to repeat, and it became a monotonous, boring, uninteresting thing for me. And that could have a lot to do with me challenging everything now. But at the same time, I also look at it and I say, well, if I would have gone along with what they were saying, and I would have bought into it, and I would have gone on to a 4-year college, and I would have gone on to graduate school after. Well, aren't I really just further indoctrinating myself into whatever is in those books? And that's my problem, is that, we tell kids and they go into school that cars run on gas. So should we be surprised that no kid has ever come out of high school and invented cars that run on water? Because why would they look into it? They've been told how cars work. We're not giving kids the opportunity to realize that we can get better. You just need to think outside the box. We don't teach people to think outside the box. In fact, if you think outside the box, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you think outside the box, you're a crazy lunatic.
People aren't taught to think creatively, and then they're marginalized for doing so. So yeah, but that's a part of any socialist system, is everyone needs to be socialized, and then everybody needs to think generally the same thing, and they consider it a form of propaganda. If, like, they were describing what Russia was doing as propaganda, because they're making it seem like anything is possible, that facts aren't facts. And apparently that's part of propaganda, is you start to confuse the populace. And that's what they're saying they're doing to us, is confusing us about globalism. If the Russians are, that is, and we are confusing people about the benefits of globalism and socialization and all that stuff.
Great transition.
What are you showing me?
Great transition into the story. It says, support grows as scientists prepare to march on Washington, D.C. to make facts great again.
Yeah, exactly.
This kid's standing with a sign that says, what do we want? Evidence-based science. When do we want it? After peer review.
Well, peer review is good.
It's not good. It's not good.
Well, peer review. I mean, theoretically, it's good. It can be good for certain.
Well, if you had
studies and stuff,
it could. But I mean,
if the peers are all shitty, then
right. I mean, do we pass laws on how people should be penalized for rape? Do we only ask the rapists, former rapists, to decide those laws. No, that'd be crazy. So we're asking physicists.
Who are the peer? Right.
Right. They're all physicists who have all based their entire lives on what we already have been told is the truth. So if somebody comes along and has new information, has updated information that would make those physicists look bad, would make them look like they wasted any amount of time in their life, they're going to shut it down. It's just, they're not going to let somebody else come and I know, I wish there was a world like we think, like we're, science and all they care about is truth and advancement, but that's not real. That's not true. What's true is people care about. Yeah, it is hard to say. I'm not going to disagree with that, but I do think
there's good stuff going on.
There's great scientists. There's absolutely great scientists, but there's bad ones.
You know, there has to be some accepted standard, but the problem is there are certain things that we're being lied to about. I don't know that there's a conspiracy broadly among scientists. I don't know, but but lucky me, you know, I should have gone to.
It wouldn't be a conspiracy. Let's say that.
Well, it is kind of, if they're not trying. Like a scientist would tell you that if better information came along, then they'd immediately change their mind.
Okay,
that's
they would
what
all say that.
Would say.
But what we would see in
that's
reality,
what they would do. Like, you know, I mean, if I were to do, like, they're not all involved in a conspiracy theory. So.
Well, what I mean is, it's not a conspiracy because they're not doing it on purpose. But let's say that you have Neil deGrasse, you have all these guys who have gone through schooling, who believe in the heliocentric model, and they've been through 4 years of graduates or 4 years of college, 2 years of graduate school. When they hear flat Earth, they laugh. They think it's an impossibility. So when somebody submits a paper,
right, we're talking about the famous ones. The famous ones are the ones that are more likely to actually know probably what's going on and be deceitful.
What I'm saying is that's why it's not a conspiracy. It's more a matter of it's a result of peer review. That if you have guys that are all right. They're not going to even read a paper that says the Earth could possibly be flat, because what that paper means is that one person submitting it has just made a fool of the 400 people reviewing the paper.
I understand that.
So
I understand your point there.
We pigeonhole ourselves into potential, potential disaster for humanity if we are holding back truth because of the people who are in the. What do we want now? We want peer-reviewed science. Well, I would agree. But I want to know who's in the peer review groups, and do we have members from all areas of society? Why would you only allow the group that would have the most? It would have the most impact and humiliation. It would have the most impact and humiliation on those men. So why would they be the ones who choose when something gets passed through as truth or not? I mean, it is the equivalent of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, in order for a law to be passed, it has to go through the group of cardinals. So it's not passed through the lay people. It's passed through cardinals and bishops. They all get together in the conclave, but they are already indoctrinated into the Christian or Catholic belief. So if somebody says something that they don't like, they're just going to all dismiss it because they all believe that everything that they've been taught as far as Catholicism is true. That's the worst thing you can do. You're not going to ever advance. You're basically trapping the belief system, and that's why the church has taken so long to get away from ridiculous beliefs. I mean, the Catholic Church, I mean, I grew up in it. They still believe that you go to a priest to ask for forgiveness of your sins, that you have to go to church to receive the body and blood of a person who died 2,000 years ago, that is important to your salvation, quote unquote. So they'll never change, because anybody who comes along and says, hey guys, don't you think this sounds a little satanic? Don't you think that it's probably a little bit gross that we're talking about the body and blood of Jesus, that we're going to eat and drink his body and blood? Don't you think it's time we grow out of that? Well, you've got 400 men who all feel that is what we should be doing. So it'll never change. It's going to take hundreds of years to change, where it should be gone. It is equal to a satanic practice that they're doing, and that they give these priests magic powers that they think the priest actually fully believes that they are changing bread and wine into the physical body and blood of Jesus. It's an abomination. It's an absolute disgrace that humans have to be involved in that. So I look at science the same way. It is the exact same thing. You have a bunch of men who are not going to allow things to change, so you get stuck in these situations. I mean, science didn't believe DNA had anything to do with our makeup 50 years ago. and they were animate about the fact until finally somebody was able to break through with that. And, hopefully that is what actually happens. But I do think it can hold us back. I think we'd be a lot further along if it wasn't for the current way science is done. I'm not saying, I always like to say, I give a lot of props and stuff to the scientists back when the church was starting to take everything over and they stepped outside. And even for Galileo, if it was him, I don't think he wrote the book, but even I don't have a problem with somebody stepping forward and saying, you know what, I don't think you're right. I think I think we go around the sun. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that because it should be about reviewing evidence. And but the church was very animate about the fact, no, we're the center. No, we're the center. And I don't think they did it for the right reasons. They weren't saying, no, we're the center. Here's our evidence. They were saying, no, we're the center. This book says so. And, I think that's the problem is that I don't think it's the best way to, and I could be wrong. Maybe we've already found all the truths, but I think look at what we're finding out about medications and what we're finding out about corruption. And if there's corruption in doctors and there's corruption in government and there's corruption in science and in schools and education centers, Boy Scouts, churches, then we should be smart enough to realize there's going to be corruption everywhere. And we need to look out for that and not ever just accept a group like, oh, well, these are scientists. These guys, they don't lie. They don't tell untruths. They only talk about science and truths because I think it's not true. So, sorry, I know I went off there. But
no, it's all right.
Anything news related you want to cover before we're gone, or you're all good?
No, we're
way too long. I know.
I've had quite
I'm
a
tired
day.
too.
And we've already given our audience probably an hour and a half, besides being an hour late. So we're probably good. And we covered Flat Earth.
And we do apologize for that. And maybe you can give me that list of things, but I know we only covered Eclipse.
No, we're good. We talked about it long enough, I'm sure.
Beautiful.
I'm okay with science. I'm a scientist.
I'm a scientist too.
People just need to think different. That's all. Everybody needs to realize why they make mistakes when they think. And what leads to those mistakes. And it's all about the people who are listening. It's about you, listener. It's about you, ultimately.
That's interesting that you say that because a lot of people have asked, why do you have your channel name is Jeranism? Is that a religion? And actually the way it started was it meant meism. Like for Nathan, it would be Nathanism, is that I realized I didn't want to go the area of the church. I didn't want to go the area of science. I saw errors there. So I stuck to the middle and said, trust yourself. Funnel things through yourself. And a lot of science works. Some science I don't think does. But altogether, the idea of science and the scientific method is the answer. It is the way that you should go about any question that you have is to take the scientific method and do it. So
see, that's good to make really clear. Yeah. The scientific method is the method. So good.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. No, I think we're on the same page as far as that goes. If we have a differing opinion, it's just that my opinion hasn't been shown to be true yet, meaing that
it's just that you're stupid and I'm smart.
Well, you could look at it that way, but whichever. I don't really do that. No.
No, I was just saying. That's.
Yes, you were just saying. Doshi, does he want to say goodbye, or what's going on with him?
No,
he's good.
No, he's sacked out.
What
what I will say is thank you everybody for listening to our show, and thank me for showing up. I don't know if I can do a show tomorrow. I probably will, but man, I'm dying. And you can support this venture, by the way. Jeran makes a few bucks off the ads, but he just had a car crash. He probably needs some money worse than me. But you can support this venture at paypal.me/lifttheveil. I do it full time, and I do stuff like the report I did today. I mean, I really do work with everything. Burn gas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's awesome that you went live and in full effect. That was pretty
cool. My first time. I got some practice.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we still have that test we want to do soon, and some other stuff coming up soon that should be exciting. So I'm a scientist too, and we're going to get out there in the streets and take care of it all. So final words.
Show you.
I've already transitioned away from me.
Oh,
there we go.
But then you don't want to show me. Oh, okay.
Well, I was going back to you, see? Nathan, do you have anything final to say?
No, I don't. Hey, be fearless, everybody.
All right, guys.
Live in fear. And I see you tomorrow on my channel, Lift the Veil, at 1 p.m. if all goes smoothly.
1 p.m. They will not miss it for the world. And neither will I. I'll be there. Guys, take care of each other. Don't lie to each other. And open your mind, because there's truth inside, I promise you. Till next time. Peace.
this girl's the angriest, the fat chick. I'm going to talk about why fat chicks are good at protesting. I don't know. Hold on. Let me bring this up. No human being is illegal. I was wondering what that is. No human being is illegal. What does that mean?
I guess because they were banning Muslims.
Where's your comp ass? Asian? Proud daughter of 2 immigrants. Oh, sorry. I thought it was proud mother of 2 immigrants. I thought that would be funny because usually the parents come first. Sorry. Hold on. Sign. The circumstance. See, signs need to be a little less verbose. Look how long that one is. Anyway, sorry, I'm focusing. I'm doing too much John Madden, not enough Summerall.
I'm trying to fix your volume here.
So here's where they ended up. Okay, I'm just playing this because this is the extent of the whole damn thing. So they show up here for the photo shoot. I mean, this is pretty much the whole thing. Pretty boring. But they line up. Look, they all line up. This guy films everything. I got the shot, huh? I mean,
really
right?
Good shot.
There. That's what's funny. It's like, oh, okay. Who brought the oranges? And then that's it. That's it. They don't know what to do. So hold on.
I remember this guy Milo making a few, random remarks that people weren't happy with. What else has he done that's caused all these kind of people to come out?
Oh, good question. Maybe I can skip ahead. This is, by the way, 30 seconds later.
They're just all.
That was it. It was.
Let's go to Starbucks.
I'm laughing. They're like, who's this creepy guy? There's this guy. He gives me the stink eye later. He's always around. He's wearing the dirty clothes.
It's over, huh?
Okay. Okay. So I'll tell you what he said. Okay, so I have a good interview. I have an interview with, this is where I kind of clown this lady a little bit. Hold on. I think this is it.
I can't wait.
Okay.
You're here to counter this protest, right? You believe?
I am part of the protest. I'm not countering the protest.
So you think hate speech is entertaining? What is wrong with you? Is that what it is? Okay, got it. For a second, I thought you were for free speech.
I am for free speech. Oh. If you notice, this is for the people going to listen to
I see.
It's not him. I support his right to relate, but I just can't understand. I just can't conceive why.
What has he said? What has he said exactly? Because I don't know him that well. What does he say?
Go online and do some studying.
Okay. All right. I was just curious if you had some, since you're the one with the opinion on it. That's all.
I think everybody, here's something I truly believe. I think everybody out there is voting for Trump, especially needs to do their homework. All the fake news they believe. You can go online, you can read direct quotes.
Do you think people who voted for Trump didn't understand what they were doing? They weren't properly educated?
Well, so what is it? It's dropped down to 30% now approval. I can't understand those 30% that are still left approving of this job, but the 20% that have gone away, that shows some people have finally understood what he was saying and realized that, hey, they've been duped a bit.
Got it. Great. Thank you very much for the interview.
After I was like, I really thought her sign said, hate speech. I think hate speech is entertaining. What are you thinking? Something like, oh, sorry, I'll stop sharing my thing. It was like, if you think hate speech is entertainment, what is wrong with you? Basically something like that.
Mhm.
And I thought it said, what's wrong with you? Hate speech is entertaining speech. So I thought she was a counter protest. That's why I was like, oh, I want to interview you. And then halfway through the interview, I realized that she was for real.
You realized what you had.
And, you know, there were the results. So anyway, she was funny. I mean, I have a lot more. I have where I show the cops. This is pretty good right here.
How many cops were there?
There were a lot. There were snipers on the roof. There was all kinds of crap going on.
And you left before he did the speech or anything? You were out of there before he did the speech or anything?
Yeah, because everybody's outside. Well, the sun went down. First of all, let me see what I have here. Oh, here, watch. Here's the cops.
Think there's going to be any trouble today? Probably not, right? These chants bother you at all?
They're not talking to you, peon.
I appreciate it.
There's the guy with the sweater. I say, yeah, kids, watch. He gives me the stink eye. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Cops and Klan go hand in hand. They were like, oh, we don't want to say that anymore. There's the fat chick. I said fat chicks are good at protesting. You know why?
No,
they have a lot. They have a lot of free time.
Oh boy. All righty. I would transition to myself right now if my face wasn't so red.
You think that's one I can use in my act?
Yeah, in your comedy act.
I have other jokes about fat chicks too.
Include them all.
I don't know.
It's always a good way to get people on your side. I said include them all. I wouldn't hold any back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I say BBW though.
What's that? BBW.
BBW.
Oh.
Big beautiful woman. You've never heard that expression before?
I have, like in a newspaper.
That's what a fat chick would say if she posted an ad on Craigslist or something. Instead of saying ads. She's fat.
Right. She's big and beautiful.
Big and beautiful woman. So that's why they're good at protesting. I have more. You want to see more, or what do you want to see? I mean, it's kind of fun. The guy says he punches. See, I want to play the thing where the guy said he punched Richard Spencer in the face. That's the money clip. But the problem with that money clip is that it's 90 degrees wrong on me. So it looks.
Everyone can turn sideways.
Yeah, they could. Let me see which one this is. Okay. Oh, okay.
Here, well, you can get that set up, and I will.
This isn't the good one. And I'll switch the screen. Just everybody, just relax. View. Here we go. View.
We're already an hour late. At this point, we can just let it burn down.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. View. Oh, here we go. Flip horizontal. Oh no, that's not what we wanted to do.
I'm not sure. I'm not positive.
Flip horizontal was not what I wanted to do. I want to rotate. Oh, here we go. Rotate. Let me see if I want to go left or right. I want to go left, I believe. Edit, rotate left, and then we're gonna share. Okay, great. I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
Boy, all right. Pressure. Okay, all right, great. You can see it. All right, here we go.
Because they don't actually speech that takes militarized force and thousands of dollars to make their hate speech possible.
Did you get a chance to talk to the people who wrote those lines? Do you know any of them?
I've encountered a few of them in classes. I've heard people talking about this event online. I personally make a policy to not associate myself with sexists and bigots and racists and people that help because I like, associating with quality human beings.
Are you a student here?
I'm a student at Cuesta. I'm around here a lot. I'm friends with many students.
Well, it's not a great scumbag. Any final thoughts?
So he's not even a student at this university. He points out.
He goes to Cuesta, cool. Which is a junior college nearby there.
Yeah, I think that's in Santa Maria, the shitty city between the two twin cities.
I punched Richard Spencer.
Hear this.
Any final thoughts about all this?
I punched Richard Spencer. What's up? I'm Spartacus.
Also,
I'm Spartacus. What does that mean? I punched Richard Spencer.
put up a video on your Instagram page.
Well, that's not why I wear a mask. I wear a mask because I like avoiding oppression on a daily basis.
Do something else
Standing up for human rights.
Hold a potluck dinner.
If you notice also, they've got cops up on the roofs taking videos of us. You know, all your tuition money is going towards SWAT cameras and snipers. So they're taking pictures of everyone here right now. They know you guys are reporting on this. They know you'll probably be there. You guys are safe, but if they caught our faces for protesting, we don't have it in the database. So we like protecting our personal privacy and freedoms.
Wait a second. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I saw some cops on the roof there.
See, there's a cop right there. You see him?
Uh-huh.
I'm up here on the roof.
Sniper.
Yeah, they had people on the roofs. And there were cops around. You can see cops back here through the gate.
Well, I don't think you're going to make it in trouble. Oh, it doesn't seem like it.
You see, I gave him the hard interview. He goes, "I am Spartacus." I was like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, what does that mean? It says, "I punch Richard Spencer."
It's weird. Weird.
Really weird.
So they also burned a Confederate flag. They said, "Kill all Nazis." In addition to the thing where they say cops and Klan go hand in hand, which I thought was
probably not a smart move.
I don't have a problem with cops. It's just kind of silly.
Cops,
these
I guess
kids
you
are
could
like, this is what a police state looks like. And I was like, this place is fucking heaven. Looking around the campus, 72
sure can get
degrees,
much worse. But
some nice chemtrails.
So you didn't see the cops do anything you would have thought was over the line?
They were just having a good time. I mean, everybody, it's a kid. They're such pussies, this city. I knew nothing was going to go down.
Okay, I'm going to switch on.
You can't even smoke outside in San Luis Obispo.
At all, huh? Yeah, I remember I used to have friends that went to school there.
Really?
Cuesta and Cal
It's a good school. Oh, really? Cuesta, too? I like Santa Maria better than San Luis Obispo. It's dirtier.
They used to sell buckets of fries at McDonald's. They were like $4.99. They were like a 7-Eleven Big Gulp. They can't do it anymore, though, because people died, I think, or something. Or
That'll feed you for a week.
Yeah, it would. Let me show you. I don't know if you saw this yet. We'll skip over to...
Yeah, I'm sick of looking at my face.
Oh, good.
So is everybody else.
I wasn't gonna say it. So,
have you been on camera yet on this show?
I have. Yes, I think so.
All right.
So talking about the Florida shooting, because in my mind, once you find that piece of evidence that you're like, okay, bar none, just like we saw with San Bernardino, that I now know that event was 100% a hoax, and this one too has joined the ranks, and I'll show you what some other people have found, and very interesting. Let me turn up my volume a little bit here. So we've seen this before, these people running out, but certainly it's funny when you see this guy in here earlier, this guy with the gray shirt right here running. He has all his bags with him and everything.
I know that I don't understand. I know that I don't know. I take you by my hand. But I don't know where to go.
What it is. What's going on, everyone? We apologize. Just got to say that right off the bat. It's my fault. My computer just doesn't work.
It wasn't totally your fault, Jeran.
Well, what are you going to blame
your software crashed. We can't blame that on you.
Yeah, more than crashed. I had to uninstall it, reinstall it. Nightmare. But with me,
you had to get a whole new computer.
I did. I had to go out to Best Buy and find the one that's on sale, but I found it, so we're all good. Yep. We're back. We're live, and I'm here. I'm Jeran, and with me is Mr. Stoltman himself, Nathan. What it is? I stole it
Still
from you
working
again.
right now. I'm exporting the video right now. Hey, what it is, everybody? How's everybody doing? Oh, that's not me. There.
That's you.
Oh, I'm gonna come up on screen right now. What's up, everybody? I don't know. Oh yeah, my producer's here, so I'll introduce him. That's
Where is he?
Doshi. He's over here right now. So not too cold in the garage tonight. It was so nice at the protest. So nice. 72 degrees, chemtrails.
So tell us about where were you today? What did you do? Why did you do it? What did you see? And is Doshi going to fire me? That's what I'm worried about.
Sorry, I jumped in too fast. I was so excited. well, Jeran, the local college town. There's a college locally to this place in San Luis Obispo, California. It's called Cal Poly. Fairly well respected university. Actually, the town of San Luis Obispo. I think it's Oprah's favorite town or something, and that got it a lot of press. One of America's most livable towns. She lives around here somewhere. So anyway, I was there at the protest, and they're protesting Milo Yiannopoulos and his alt-right hate speech and Nazis in general. It was pretty interesting. I got clips of the footage. I got clips of the protest, and I put them up on YouTube as I was getting them live. Right now, I'm exporting the HD footage of that, and I can show it to you exclusively for the first time on this show, AltNews Tonight with Jeran and Nathan. Or can it be Nathan and Jeran? Does it make a...
It doesn't make a difference. It's either way.
It does. What is it in the title right now? Does it say AltNews Tonight with Nathan and Jeran or no?
I leave our names out. Our names are unimportant.
Good.
So it's just AltNews Tonight and then the date.
Okay. Because I don't want to fight you for top billing.
I know.
My agent would be.
I'd probably beat you, and then I'd feel bad. So I don't want to feel bad.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Well, then I just fire my agent and hire yours.
I don't have an agent.
Oh, Doshi does that for me.
Well, thank Doshi for us. We're very happy that he's allowed you.
Sorry. All right.
So tell us about, or you're going to show us some interviews you did or some footage?
You think that's the exciting story? Yeah, we might as well open with it. I wasn't up to speed on the news. So yeah, I have a bunch of stuff from the protest. Boy, I mean, I can almost start at the beginning, but let me start with something. Juicy-ish. Oh, let me start with the march. Let me start with the protest march. That is going to be right. Oh, you know what? I have so many things here. Okay, hold on one sec. We're going to organize these by name.
Well, I can tell everybody, too, that in case anybody's wondering, my wife is fine because we did get our car totaled yesterday. I should have
said something. Did you tell your listeners that happened?
Well, we weren't able to do Raw last night, so because it happened right about maybe a half hour before the show was supposed to start, that she called me. So she was in an accident. It wasn't her fault, and she's fine, but the car is totaled. So we'll be getting a new car here, I guess, sometime soon. So, but everybody's fine, so we're all good. So it's been a little bit stressful, but we're here. We're going. So you ready?
Yeah, and Jeran and the person who hit them didn't have insurance, guys. So Jeran's Jeran, if something like that happened to me, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. So that's a tough situation.
Well, it's one of those situations where you want to have that's what the world should be, is just handling it without the need for middlemen and cops and for. But maybe I'm going to find out the hard way why we do have middlemen and cops, if they don't.
Why we have insurance. There's a reason for insurance, and we can talk about why health insurance doesn't work is because, anyway, insurance, you pay it monthly so that, it's basically a forced savings is what it is.
Exactly.
You put $50 a month into a kitty, and then if something happens, you have some money left over. And car insurance pays for itself that way, but not health insurance. But anyway, I think I'm gonna have to play you one of the more interesting clips a different way than we would have wanted to. Let me do that real quick. Share screen. I'll share my entire. Did you hear that?
What was that noise?
Entire screen. Okay, I'll share that. Can you see? Oh no, I can't share that. Okay. So I'm going to share, shit, this is going to be, okay. Then I'm going to share, the problem is that I'm having is that one of the videos is 90 degrees wrong. So I'm just going to get started with something. I think it's this one right here.
Okay.
Am I sharing whole screen right now?
It's a little smaller than it was in.
Oh no,
before.
no, I'm sharing something different. It's hard doing a live show, isn't it?
It's not easy.
People have no idea. Okay, here we go. Now you're seeing my whole screen, right?
And now I'm seeing a black screen. It's midnight. No, there you go. I see a chain link fence.
Okay, let's see what we got here. So,
yeah, this is where Milo is. Yeah, I'm reporting on it. How are you doing? What's your interest in it? People with tickets going in? Yeah, those are people with tickets. And then the protesters are here, and then we have this. Lucky for us. This is what a police state looks like, everybody.
here I'll advance. I do a pretty good reporter move. I mean, like I said, I'm exhausted from this ordeal. You'll see, watch. You'll see I'm serious. I'm walking faster than they are right now.
Bunch of college chicks. Must be tough, rough life.
Yeah, look at these kids. I was laughing. I was like, nothing's going to happen. This is what democracy looks like. So beautiful out. It's like tough life.
How far is that from where you live?
This is where I started hauling ass. Somebody else was doing it too. I got the shot though. Look at that. There's that same guy.
Ah.
I'm gonna tell you about this guy later. That's the guy that gives me the stink eye. Look at these guys.